Howdy, folks. I'm Scurrilous Scandium, severely scrying squirrels.
I'm Amber.
And here are more scrying squirrels for us to scare. But why? Why are we scaring squirrels now, Ember?
Well, I'm not scaring squirrels. You are.
Oh, I'm scaring squirrels. Apparently, I get to be the big baddie here.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm Scandium. Let's get started. Alright, folks, our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Stopping My Cousin's Marriage Proposal? I'm a 27-year-old female, and I just got married to the love of my life, Jacob, a 30-year-old male, this past weekend. My cousin Patrick, a 34-year-old male, has always been immature, selfish, and rudely forthright. For as long as I can remember, he has never failed to make a birthday party, not his own, holidays, and other occasions all about him. The adults in the family have always shown him favoritism, and this has over time spoiled him and enabled him. A week before the wedding, he called me to let me know that he is going to propose to his longtime girlfriend during the reception. This infuriated me, but I calmly asked him not to go through with it. When he asked me why, I said that I did not want the attention to be deviated away from me and my husband on our special day. This did not go well, and soon he began yelling at me. He even went as far as calling me a selfish bee, and then he hung up. Later that day, I received multiple angry calls from our parents saying that I was being selfish and unreasonable. I explained to them that at the end of the day, this was my wedding day, and that it was my decision if I wanted the proposal to take place. This angered many, with some family members going as far to not attend. I assumed that Patrick was also not going to be able to make it, but to my surprise, he texted me saying that he would show up anyways. I knew that he was going to go against my wishes and carry on with his proposal. So I concocted a plan and showed a picture of Patrick to the live band that I had hired for the reception. I even paid them extra, with the request to start playing should Patrick ever try to make an approach. The day was finally here, and Patrick arrived with his girlfriend and parents. He was acting very cordial for once, but I was not fooled. After the maid of honor and best man speeches, I noticed that Patrick was getting up from his seat and making his way towards the stage. And just like that, the band started to play. I smiled, I grabbed my husband, and I rushed towards the dance floor. Everyone else joined in, and it looked as though Patrick's actions went unnoticed. He made 3 more attempts, which were shut down immediately with loud music. Some of the cousins even blocked his path, telling him just to cut it out. He looked more and more angry as the night progressed, and eventually grabbed his girlfriend's hand and stormed out of the venue. As I watched him leave, I laughed out loud and had a blast the rest of the night with family and friends. I woke up the next morning to angry text messages and voicemails, which I ignored. I decided not to engage in the drama, and I just enjoyed my honeymoon with my husband. So am I the jerk here? Wow, I am positively overwhelmed with all the kind responses. So thank you so much to everyone who took the time to write a nice message. I'm trying to read every single one, but there's an overwhelming amount coming in right now, so I apologize if I can't answer every single question. But I will answer the most frequently asked ones. I have decided to go no contact with Patrick and a few of the opposing family members. He announced that he will be hosting an engagement party with his girlfriend, but that I am strictly uninvited to both the party and the wedding. I heard this secondhand from my parents. Speaking of my parents, they were at first unsupportive of my decision with Patrick's proposal, but after seeing his behavior, decided to support me and overall agreed with my decision. I don't know the girlfriend very well. Our interactions have been brief. She seems sweet enough, but I'm not sure she will accept his proposal or not. Many have asked why Patrick wasn't uninvited. I was planning on doing that at first, but after considerable thought, I decided against it. Knowing my cousin, he would have made an even bigger scene at the entrance of the wedding. Would have done something even more drastic, since he's done similar stuff in the past when people have gone up against him. He's a grown man that still throws temper tantrums, so I wanted to de-escalate the situation and cause minimal drama as possible. And the moment I thought of my plan, I was too excited not to execute it. And finally, yes, the band was handsomely paid and tipped well. They are my husband's friends, and we are also planning on treating them to dinner next week as an extra thank you. Alright folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
Not the jerk. I can't see how anyone could think OP's in the wrong for this. Like, you handled that in about the most courteous way you could possibly have.
Yeah.
You didn't cause a scene or anything. And I'm not saying you would be unjustified if this guy tries proposing in your wedding reception. But, like, this was about the nicest you possibly could have been. And, like, anyone who is still like, oh, P, you're so terrible for not letting him commandeer this event you paid big money for is not worth having in your life.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand people saying that you were a jerk if you had done something like tase him. Then I mean, like, yeah, I mean, he shouldn't have tried to propose, but really tasing him? But no, what you did was basically just stop him from making his announcement, which there's nothing wrong with stopping him from making an announcement. He asked you, you refused him, and he was going to push it anyways. Because he's a bully, and that's what it sounds like. He's an entitled bully.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, you paid big money for this wedding, and so it's your right to have it the way you want to. Like, you shouldn't have other people trying to steal the limelight on the day and, like, make this fancy event all about them.
Mm-hmm. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And 1U53R3DD1T says, not the jerk. And I applaud the creative counterattack as well. Your day, all day. You have some nightmare people in your family as well if they took his side, and some downright didn't attend. Live your life with your new spouse happily in good health. This BS is theirs to deal with, not yours. And OP replies, thank you so much, and unfortunately, yes, we have some unsavory characters on that side of the family, but I guess even being family is not enough. I appreciate your comment. And Lou, November 4, says, seriously, respect. I laughed at your plan. Simple, yet so good. And not the jerk. He asked, at least that was nice enough of him to do, though. And you said you would prefer him not to go through with it. He wanted to anyways, and you reacted to it. Childish, maybe, justified, absolutely. All of the family members who say that you're the jerk are awful. Your day, your attention, your happiness, you did nothing wrong, and your family sounds like a pain in the butt. And again, respect. In German, I would say, Hut ab. I have no idea if I said that right. And OP replies, I really appreciate that. But the thing is that he didn't even ask. He just stated that he was going to do this and it was going to happen. Like I didn't even have a choice in the matter. That's just the type of person he is. But I really appreciate everyone's kind and lovely words. That makes it even worse.
Mm-hmm.
Alright folks, our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Not Sharing My Inheritance with the Rest of My Family? My family situation is messy. I'm a 25-year-old female and I was engaged 4 years ago to my high school sweetheart. My fiance cheated on me with my sister, a 28-year-old female. We had never had a good relationship, even as kids, so after I found out, I went scorched earth on both of them. She was so in love with my fiance, but he dumped her within 2 weeks and was back trying to get with me to forgive him. I didn't. My parents were initially on my side, but my sister had a nervous breakdown after she was dumped and was hospitalized, so they changed their tune to, it's over now, and you can't be mad forever. So I dumped them, too, and went to grad school on the other side of the country. My grandfather was livid with the whole thing, disowned my sister, and chewed out my parents. Sometimes it felt like he was the only one who was on my side and understood. I was able to get my job to let me to work remotely, and I moved back to take care of him when he got sick last fall, and I was devastated when he passed a couple of months ago. I had been in limited contact with my parents since I came back, mostly because I didn't want to be an obstacle to my dad seeing my grandfather, but with the understanding that any decision of my sister or what happened would end that. It turns out that my grandfather had left me virtually everything. He had left enough for my father to cover the debt and some token stuff for a couple of other relatives, but he wrote a letter for everyone and did a videotape with his attorney explaining what his intentions were. I knew that he had done well for himself, but he lived a pretty simple life, so I didn't realize how much money and assets he really had. I would give it all up to have my pawpaw back, but even after taxes, it's set for life money. My parents are pretty mad about it. One of the reasons stated for cutting them out was how disappointed my grandfather was in how they had treated me growing up versus my sister, and over the fiancé debacle. There were other reasons, but that's what they're fixated on. This will is pretty airtight apparently, so my parents want me to do the right thing and share it equally between me, them, and my sister. Their argument is that I don't need it. I make more than both of them combined, and this would allow them to retire. My sister is not doing great and can't hold a job, so this would ensure that she had something for when my parents passed. I don't want to. My grandfather's wishes were crystal clear, and I also kind of don't feel like doing any more than the minimum for any of them. They've been telling me that I am being vindictive because of a mistake years ago. I can't deny that there might be a little vindictiveness there. I don't want them to suffer necessarily, but I also don't feel like they deserve my help. All right, folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
Not the jerk. I mean, these people have not been supportive family members. It sounds like probably your sister was the golden child based on some of the statements your grandfather made.
Yeah.
And so there's no reason for you to share with them. They abandoned you during your time of need, tried to make you get over a very difficult situation. And so, yeah, I think you're perfectly justified in not wanting to split the money with people who have not been family to you.
Yeah, well, and then on top of that, OP was taking care of their sick grandfather for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that this is something where OP really loved their grandfather. They wanted to see what was best for him and do what was best for him. And it seemed like they had kind of formed their own family unit after the fallout between all of this stuff. So I think that it's unfortunate that there has been this big family blowout, but I can understand OP's stance here. I can understand the grandfather's stance. It sounds like they never treated OP very well, and this is just another instance of them not treating OP well. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Skippy the beer can says, I have one question, just one. If they had left everything to them, would they have cut you in? And OP replies, probably not. Maybe I would have gotten something when my parents died, but the track record would indicate that it would just be but your sister needs it more, and you can take care of yourself situation. I mean, I think that really does say it all, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like, why would you give money to people who wouldn't support you?
And let's get it. 8.99 says, the cherry on top others aren't mentioning is that you were taking care of him when he died. Your parents, even knowing that they had money that they could stand to inherit, couldn't be bothered. Of course you're justified in cutting contact. I wouldn't say a single word to them without going through an attorney, not the jerk. And OP replies, that never has set well with me. Their excuse was that they worked all the time and that he could afford some home health services. Papa didn't even need much, just someone to keep up the housework, get him to his appointments, and make sure that he ate and was okay on bad days during his treatment. Even though I'm hurt that he's gone, I'm just really grateful that I got to spend a last year with him and wasn't expecting to inherit more than his dog and a few keepsakes. And Atomic Blast Candy says, did your sister do anything to help him out? And OP replies, no, she was a persona non grata at his house. He had really strong feelings about family and faithfulness, so when he disowned her, he apparently really meant it. I never heard him even mention her while I was there. His come to Jesus meeting with her and my parents is the stuff of family legend, so she probably had enough sense to stay away. Singing Permaid says, tell us the story of the meeting, also not the jerk. And OP replies, I wasn't there, but my great aunt was. This was maybe 6 months after my grandmother had passed. And she told me that Peepaw had told my dad that the only good thing about Meemaw being gone on to heaven was that she didn't have to see that her only son was acting like such a terrible person. And if he didn't get right, then they would both chase him down to hell with a switch when the time came. And he also told my sister that she was the biggest disgrace the family had ever seen, and that if she wanted to stab her own sister in the back so bad, she could go the way of Cain. Papa's father was a fire and brimstone pastor way back in the day, so even if he didn't keep the theology, he definitely got the delivery skill. I mean, I don't know, I think that's pretty excessive. I think it's pretty excessive. Alright folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here, and Amber's got a joke.
Why do fish live in salt water?
Well, I can tell you exactly why saltwater fish live in saltwater. It's for the same reason that freshwater fish live in freshwater. And so you see, there's this thing called osmosis. And what will happen is, if your cells have too much like concentration inside of them, then water will attempt to get inside of them, right? So if you put a freshwater fish in salt water, for instance, it's bad for their cells. Their cells essentially have the water leached out because the higher concentration of salt is on the outside, right? So that's bad for the freshwater fish. Now, likewise, if you take a saltwater fish and you put it into fresh water, well, they have a lot additional, sodium and whatnot concentration in their cells to kind of balance out the equilibrium from the salt water. And it causes their cells to explode. So neither one of those situations is good for life, if you couldn't tell. And that's why saltwater fish live in salt water.
Because pepper makes them sneeze.
No, it's because their cells will explode. And I have Earl Grey and non-exploding cells. Well, mostly non-exploding cells. We all have exploding cells. Alright, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Friday. Congratulations, you made it to the end of the week. And I did too. Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance. And please, please, have it in the form of a proposal that never happened.
I would propose to you at my cousin's wedding, but I have enough common sense, so I'll propose to you later. That's why the proposal didn't happen.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.